Hey, hello everyone. So welcome to one of the first of many coding videos of this channel, where I'll show you a nice way of implementing SWR in your Next application and also organize the folder structure in order that it is easily scalable in future when your application becomes more complex. So as you have noticed, this is one of the first videos of mine, so in case you like it and you learn something for it, it would be great if you could maybe subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it. But I don't want to do the usual like, share, subscribe thing. So yeah, anyways, just do it your own. Before starting this tutorial, I want to give a forward. So this walkthrough is heavily based on the Next.js documentation and the Next Learn course, and all the links I'll link in the description, and also I'll publish this article later with more details and the codes, and also I have provided the code here, so yeah, you can follow along if you're stuck, or you can just copy the files and then copy the structure for yourself, maybe fetch the repository and then use it in your own, experiment, do things. So yeah, before it gets too long, let's get started with creating the application. So first we'll create the Next application using the following command. So I'll go to Visual Studio Code now, and then I'll check out to my for fun directory, and here I'll just copy paste it because I'm lazy, as everyone watching this video probably. So yeah, let's wait for this to create my app. I will name this tutorial SWR Next app, and yeah, waiting for everything to be created and to be downloaded and the boilerplate to be created. So it shouldn't take long because Next is fast, so that's why we love Next.js. And yeah, we are here, done in 40 seconds. A little bit slow, but yeah, that's not the goal of this video. So yeah, now that you created this, I'll go open the folder and go to my code thing, and for fun, so open it here in Visual Studio Code. So yeah, I'll start ahead first by running the development server just to see what we have on the screen. So we have the usual Next.js boilerplate thing. So if I go in here and I go localhost 3000, so yeah, I'll have this nice Next.js welcome screen. So yeah, to start with, first we will go ahead, let's follow along with the tutorial here. So we'll go ahead, add Axios, and then add the SWR package, and then I'll show you around with the folder structure and how you can organize the files. So yeah, I want to go ahead now and install Axios. So I'll create a separate terminal here and do yarn add Axios, and by that I'll have access to Axios, and I will create a services folder in here, and in this services folder I will create a file which will be called api.typescript.ts, and then here I'll write the logic for my first API call, and this will be the first of many API calls that you may create here. So I'll go ahead with the first one. It will be a simple one. I'll just import Axios from Axios, and then yeah, I'll go ahead and create a constant. I see Copilot here helping me with some stuff, so yeah, why not help me? So I'll create the base URL to be not what this Copilot here suggests, but to be the placeholder which I'll get from here on my external monitor. So yeah, this is the API that we are going to use for this tutorial. It is just a simple API. It takes some placeholder to-do list, so I want to just create basically a to-do list app with consuming some API data. So this will be the base URL for our application. And where did I find this? If you want to guess, there are like API placeholder things where you can find everything in here. So yeah, this is basically what I used, I think. And yeah, I got this, so you can get the to-dos from this URL. So and then you can add the first to-do, so it can return you the first to-do. So I'll just want to go ahead with to-dos, and the to-dos will return me back 200 to-dos. So going in there, I want to create a function and export this function, which will be called get to-dos. And then this get to dos will be a asynchronous function, which will return me we will create try catch here, so in case that we get data we get a response, which will basically be what Copilot is suggesting here, so response, and we'll get this endpoint, so it will be the to-do endpoint from this base URL, and then we're returning the data here, response with data, and then we're gonna catch the error if there's an error, and then yeah, maybe console error, this error. So just some fancy console login here. So this will be basically our calls. In order to create whatever calls you need based on this URL, you'd basically just need, so in case that you want to get, for example, the posts, so or let's get the users, for example. In case we want to get the users, we'll just basically do copy paste everything in here, and then do export get users in here instead of to dos. So get users, and then here change the endpoint to users, and then we'll basically get data. Yeah, we can try this out. I didn't plan actually to do this, but as we are here, we can go ahead with it. Firstly, initially I'll recommend this just for the sake of this video. So yeah, this will be the first step that you want to do. So first you want to create an Axios services folder, and then inside that create an API.ts file, and then here will be the point of creation of our API. So in this case I'm using Axios with SWR. So the next step then is to create another folder which will be called hooks, and basically not in here, I'm wrong, so I'll go to base directory and then create hooks as a folder here, and then from here I will use I'll basically create another file which will be called use swr.ts, and then from this file here I will write the logic about using this hook about fetching data. So yeah, it's just simple as importing use swr from SWR, and yeah, also now I'll import all the calls that I got from this file here, which I had created before. So actually it's not what I want, but it can help me a little bit with typing faster. So I'll have all the calls here, so services and API, and yeah. Oh, firstly, I see here an error. I didn't add SWR, so I'll go ahead and do that. As you can see here, I'll add SWR 2.0, which is a release candidate, and later maybe I'll update this to be the version 2.0, not a release candidate. And the reason that I'm doing this is because as the latest Next boilerplates comes with React 18. So if you go here and check our version of React, it's 18.2, and as I noticed before, it took me not some hours, but some times to find the error, what the error is when I tried to implement this kind of tutorial that I wanted to create. And the reason was that SWR versions below version 2 will cause some issues, so better to opt for this version 2.0 when creating some React or some Next.js project for the moment, and then switch to a stable version in the future. So I'll go ahead, copy paste this in here, and then add this version here, and now we should get rid of this error here. So yeah, it's solved. And what I'll do here, I will just create a function and then at the same time export this function, and I want to call this function use fetch for the sake of terminology here. So I'll just fetch data, and I'll call this use fetch, so it will be easy to use then in the future. And then yeah, I'll create this object, and basically from this function I want to return everything, or I'll basically name everything what I want to get here. So I'll name this get to do's function a function which will return me a hook where I'll get all the data. And basically here Copilot is trying to help me a little bit with its suggestions, but I don't want to go with its suggestions, so I'll basically do here all to do's. And what is this? This is a key which is used to store the stuff in the cache, so when the user navigates between pages it's all stored. And then I want to go ahead and type create an async function where I'll basically await the response. I'll wait the response from the API, so I'll do const response, and then I await this, which is basically the API that get to do list. But now here I'm using, if we go to the SWR getting started, so maybe let's go better with this. It uses here the key name, what we want to store on the cache, and then a fetcher. So the fetcher is basically this, but in our case we are writing the fetcher manually because it can change, or it can use different endpoints. In this code, for example, we are getting the get to do's list from this file in here. So yeah, so we're doing const response, then we're waiting for the response, and I'm having some not errors here, but because I missed something. So in here I also need bracket for this to work correctly. So yeah, this is a function returning this, and then I'll just console log something here just to see if the SW response is working. So I'll call this SW response, and it will be basically the response that I'm getting from here. And Copilot dealing a little bit with my code here, and I'll just return the response that I get from this, and this will be the response that we'll get. Just for debugging purposes, I also console log something in here, so I just want to see also where the data comes in which phase of the app. So here I'll call Axios, say Axios response, and forgot it, quote here. So yeah, just to see where the data is coming from, and then data where it's going. So yeah, basically this is the kind of the structure that you want to create. So first you want to create all the API calls here with Axios, and then consume them here with this hook. And then basically, because we are exporting everything here, that means that everything in our file structure we can basically go ahead and get all of the styles. But before doing that, there is a step that we want to do. So in order to use this hook globally in our application, we need to go to the pages and then go to _app, and here we want to import something really important. So this is without this nothing would work basically from SWR. So basically we are getting this SR config from SWR, and then we are wrapping up our component with that. So here we are doing SWR config, and we need to create some kind of value here, which is actually the provider of the cache. So provider, and not only the cache, but it gives the access to our API calls to the whole application, and then also wrap it again in here. So we have a provider, which is basically a new map. And yeah, after doing that, now our application is ready to use the old SWR things that we have created here. And yeah, I'll just go ahead to reload my server a little bit and see if everything is going all right with my live server here. So I'll just reload it, and I can't see nothing because there should be some issue, but I had to see something in here. I'm doing something crazy here, so I'm just missing this. So that's the reason why it's not working, and now it should be all fine. So reloading, and then we have the welcome screen still that we still didn't edit, but we'll go ahead and edit this in a second. Maybe if I went too fast, maybe you can take a moment to pause this video and then just see the folder structure here. So we have first API.ts, and let me split this to the right. So we also have this SWR file, and then let me split this also to the right. We have also our app.js. So let me move this here. Anyways, so we have this, then we have this in here, our wrapper, and then we have our API file in here for the moment. But no worries, I'll just link the code in the description later, so you can have it. Yeah, after doing this, we are now ready to consume data in our index file. So what we want to do next is that we want to go to our index files, and then from here we want to import our useFetch function, or hook if we can call it. And yeah, this is basically coming from where Copilot is saying, from hooks SWR. So this is where we created it, so we exported it so we can easily import it here and use it. And now from here on, it's really easy to use all the calls that we have created. So we'll just go ahead, and then I'll just comment the code a little bit here, so for better clarity, for all to-dos. And then what we basically want to do is that we can get all the data. First we want to import or use the function. So what I'll do is that I'll get to-dos, and then from here I will use useFetch, and then from this call I want to get the data, which is data is a to-do data, data is the to-dos, and then the error is error, I'll call it, if I want to use it somewhere in my application. But I'll just leave it out for the moment just to see what will happen. We basically can do only data here, but it's better to name this data as a to-dos, and then we can use the to-dos throughout our application then. So yeah, as we are here, maybe let's just try and see in the console log if everything is working. So I'll just console log the to-dos here, and I'll name them to-dos, so we can see what's happening here. So basically what we expect now is that we see 3 console logs, one from this here, from the response for the first Axios, and then from the SWR here, and the third one with the to-dos here. So basically when the app will be run, we will just get this get to-dos, which is a function that we are running here, and then we're printing it. So let's go ahead and see the behavior that I explained. And if we go in the console log here, which is in my side here, I have all the calls here. Basically I have the response from the Axios, I have the SWR, and then I have the to-dos, which are basically the same. So this is an Axios response, is an object, and then here I'm getting the data from it. So going in here in Axios, where is it? It's here. So I'm printing the response here, but I'm returning the response data. But if I print here the response of data, then I should be getting everything with, yeah, basically here. So yeah, we are in this page now. So SWS is working, Axios is working, and yeah, our console logs are showing that it's working. So maybe now is the time to just show something on the screen. So what I can do is that I can just go ahead here in my index file, and then let's delete everything starting from get started by editing. So I'll just delete everything in here. I have this nice feature, nice shortcut, where I can select everything inside the div, which on Mac is Command, Option, and Shift B, but I'll link this shortcut in the description if you want to know it. So basically I can safely delete everything in here. And what I want to do is that exactly what Copilot is suggesting. So I want to create the div, which is basically a grid, and then in this grid I want just to map the to-dos. So mapping the to-dos and then printing every to-do in here. I'll just close this for now so we don't have any problems. And then in here I just want to print a div, and then yeah, I'll give it a key of to do, and then yeah, give it a style name, a class name as style.card. So thank you Copilot for that. And then no, I just want to do this at h4, not an h3. And it's like that. And yeah, basically maybe now let's follow the Copilot and let's see what he's suggesting us. I like this to do sometimes when I'm doing some kind of work, because it allows me to just experiment right away. I have to close a div here, and then I just see the magic that it creates. In this case, it looks like we have an error here because probably I didn't close anything. So what is the error? Let's find the error. It'll be a nice hunt. So we have everything here. We have a div, we have an h4, and then we have a paragraph, subtitle. Yeah, so should be all right. I close this div, I close this, then I close everything else. So I think I am missing something really interesting here, which is this bracket. So yeah, by doing that we should have everything in screen. So yeah, as suppose we have all the to-dos, which are around 200 to-dos in here, and then yeah, basically we didn't do any styling, but Copilot helped us with that. So thank you, man, you did a great job today and helped me on my first video here. So it's yeah, it is working. When I started this video, I told you that maybe we can use the users, so maybe we can go ahead and create another function, and then yeah, why not use this function and use the data from this function. So yeah, the second function that we create is get users, and then what we want to do is that the same thing that we did for this here, we will do here as well. So we can also go ahead here and yeah, get users basically, and that will be basically a copy paste of everything that we did here. So I'll just get everything from here basically, and then paste it here, and I'll call it get users instead of get use, and then I'll call it all users here just to modify a little bit. And because my function here is get users, I'll use that to here. So get users from the API, and just to rename this a little bit, SW all users, and then all to do response, just to see. Probably I'll remove all of these console logs, but for now I'll leave them here. So yeah, we have this here on the API. We are set up. So now what's next is that we actually, next is always next, but in this case I also want to get the get users from this call, and then what I can do is that I can say here that I want to get users as well from this call, which is basically the users array here, whatever it is returning. So let's see what it's returning here. So let's go into the console log and let's see for users. So here we have users, and users have an ID, have a name, and have a username. So maybe we can use the same thing here to just give the name and the username down here. It will be good. So let's just change this from to-dos to users, and then I'll sorry. So we have user, and then user.id. I think there was an ID here. Yeah, exactly. User.name, and then we don't basically need that because I'll just give here user dot, I think we had here a username. Yeah, username. Okay, great. So yeah, going here we have all the list of the users and then usernames with this cool grid in here. And yeah, basically that shows how we can easily and nicely organize a project, next project, in files and in folders. So yeah, you may want to use this in your future projects, which is a really nice, cool way to keep everything organized, and then keep everything organized with files and in code and everything. So it's easy for everyone reading this, but it's also easy for you debugging what's happening. I didn't cover in this part here the error, but basically the error would be that you would get some error here, and then you would name it to-dos error, and or in this case here you would get the users error. So just in case that users error, and then you would maybe do some avoid catching here. So you would just render this div only if users error doesn't exist. So if user error doesn't exist, then you will basically conditional render anything here, and then if it exists, maybe you want to create another div for that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can figure that out yourself. So the main goal of this video was just to show you a nice way to organize the files and then use SWR in a way that maybe you didn't see before, because as I've seen it, it's not on the documentation or anything. So yeah, I thought, why not doing a video and then showing everyone, and then maybe you can benefit from it. That was for this actually first video. I want to thank everyone for sticking around till the end of this video. I'm planning to do another video later with using it was somewhere around here, so using the local storage to persistent the data that we're getting, but maybe that will be for another video, as this was really long. Yeah, I hope that this is helpful for everyone, and then I'll see you on the next video. And yeah, until then, enjoy your time and enjoy your coding. Ciao.